Hi, welcome to Right Brain Rescue Podcast. I'm Dr. Lara Salyer, and these are interviews that will inspire, invigorate, and ignite your own creative flow as we talk about creativity as the platform for a sixth vital sign. It's essential to everyone's well-being, and creativity matters. Here, I will examine the importance of flow state as you nurture your most vibrant and healthy life, because this is accessible to everyone. We'll combine tips from neuroscience, functional medicine, and positive psychology so you can tap into your unique creativity. Today, I'd like to welcome Helen Perks, who is a registered nutritionist and nutrition therapist. She is from Thaxted, England, and I love that you're here with me today, Helen. Thank you so much.
Hi, Laura. It's a pleasure, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yes, tell me a little bit about yourself, about your career, where you're from.
Okay, so originally I was born in the northeast of England, which is about 5 hours away from where I am. And just to kind of shortcut you to where I am now, I used to work for the Ministry of Defence in Human Resources, and then I worked as an internal auditor for the prison service. So it was when I worked for the prison service that I became burnt out. So I actually was then diagnosed 18 months later with ME, or chronic fatigue syndrome. So I was commuting, traveling around the country to different prisons, auditing them, taking my professional examinations. So burning the candle at both ends. Yeah. So, and the only answer that I had from the NHS, or what their protocol was at the time, was antidepressants and sleeping pills. And obviously I didn't need any of those. And as exhausted as I was, and I mean, I was bedbound, I slowly got to grips with my diet. That was the first thing, because of course when I was rushing around with such a busy lifestyle, I was time poor, so I just ate rubbish really. So I did burn myself out. I think the straw that broke the camel's back is I had several miscarriages, nearly died with the second one. So I had to take control basically. So I started with the diet, and started with what we know today as an elimination diet. And I cut out the wheat, the dairy, the processed foods, the sugar, and I started to improve. And very slowly, I got my life back. I mean, it took 17 years. That's how long. So, but within that time frame, I started studying for a Bachelor of Science in Nutritional Medicine, and that's where I started practicing functional medicine. And for those that don't know, functional medicine is about getting to the root cause of your symptoms rather than just treating your symptoms. So, you know, through my own experience, if you like, and I mean, years ago when my son was small, I wanted to be a nutritionist. But I think I've had to go through everything that I've gone through from a health point of view to be a more empathetic nutritionist, nutritional therapist, and functional medicine practitioner. So I totally get what people are going through. So it was my time. So now, if you like, my Ikigai, my purpose in life, is to help people address the root cause of their symptoms. So I then formed or found the Hygeia Clinic. And Hygeia, according to Greek and Roman mythology, she was the Greek goddess of health and cleanliness. And her father was the Greek god of medicine, and her mother the Greek goddess of healing.
Oh, that's a good lineage.
Yeah, exactly. Although I can't take credit for that name, because my son's girlfriend, Zoe, she came up with that name. But it tied very nicely with my name, Helen, which is also of Greek origin. So that means shining light. So again, going back to my Ikigai, my purpose in life is to shine the light on functional medicine and help people improve their health, basically.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, so this is where I am.
That's beautiful, Helen. I love how it all connects in. The hygiene, and I think that's where we get hygiene, right?
Yes, exactly. That's it. Cleanliness. Yeah.
Very
definitely.
good. And I love how you framed functional medicine for those that don't know what it is. And that's why it's so key. Sadly, I wish it could just be called medicine, because it seems so inherent, don't you think? I mean, just eating food that is good for us, trying an elimination diet. And do you have any advice for those that think an elimination diet is too hard?
Any advice? Absolutely not. I mean, it's not too hard at all. It's very easy, because basically, from my perspective, what I tell my clients is, if you have to pick something up and read a label, then really, you shouldn't be eating it. So, you go back to your fruit, your vegetables, your fish, your meat, and, as long as you can afford, as long as you buy the best you can afford, because not everybody can afford organic. If you can't, then obviously wash your fruit and vegetables and so on and so forth. But that would be my advice. So that, to me, that's pretty simple. And there is so much on the internet now that you can just jump on there and get lots of different recipes.
Absolutely.
And I love all these box schemes, these organic box schemes. We've got several over here, and sometimes they'll arrive, and whatever is in that box, which is in season, you've got all the recipe cards in there as well. So it's just so simple these days.
And it feels like now is the best time to do a lot of this, because we have the technology and the connection and the awareness. And we touch on an elimination diet within Right Brain Rescue in the program. I talk a little bit about nutrition and how you can do an elimination diet, because it's not only good for you, but it's such a detective, right? Don't you learn so much about your body, like what you can't have and what you're blessed with? And wonderful.
Definitely.
Tell me a little bit about, have you ever, with all of this intersection, I've seen you for about a year now, and I watch you and all the good things you're doing over there. We'll talk about your book. We'll talk about a lot of the other things. Were you always this creative? Do you identify as a creative person?
Well, I have to tell you, Lara, absolutely not. Because, for example, when it comes to drawing, I am matchstick man and matchstick woman. And I don't know, have you heard of the game Pictionary?
Yes, I love it.
Right. So do I. But I've got to say, whoever chooses me to be on their team, forget it, because they can hardly, kind of understand what I'm drawing. And then again, like you say, when I first met you a year ago through Evolution of Medicine, and I was watching your work and what you were doing, because you are absolutely fantastic. You are so creative. It's unbelievable. And I was looking at you thinking, and I remember saying to you in a message somewhere, I am so not creative. And I was focusing on the fact that I couldn't draw or I couldn't make anything. But actually, in the last 10 months, I have had this huge creative thing going on, but it's got nothing to do with drawing or making.
Perfect.
But it's just unbelievable. So I've come up with all sorts of ideas for my business, for my website, which should be up and running shortly. So there are definitely different ways that you can be creative. And, for people out there that think they're not creative, for example, as a nutritional therapist, it's how you present food on a plate. You can be creative with that. How you dress, you can be creative. How you decorate your house. There's so many different avenues for creativity. And I was just thinking it's because I couldn't draw, and I was just so wrong.
Beautiful. Beautifully said too. I mean, the definition of creativity is actually something new and then useful. That's it. And so, you're right. People think, oh my goodness, I have to be good at drawing. And by the way, a tip with Pictionary is it doesn't matter if you draw well, it's the partner. If you know your partner and you can communicate with little private jokes, and you can totally win Pictionary. I'll teach you.
I have cheated before, I have to say.
That's awesome. But you're right. You're looking at other ways of creativity, and we all have that. And I've been watching your creativity bubble up, and it's been so awesome, because I'm sure you are going to send that ripple across, and someone else is going to see how creative you are. And it just takes that space to let it happen. Was there any proud particular creative moment that you've had?
Well, actually, very recently. So I was given the brief for a book, which I will now show you, which is called The Truly Epic Book of Veg, Everything You Need to Get Kids Loving Vegetables.
Love it.
And this has been produced by a number of people, Michelin star chefs, celebrity chefs, food bloggers, and people from the Food Foundation and so on and so forth. And this is to encourage children to eat more vegetables, incorporate them into their diet, and basically to eat a rainbow. So within the book, you know, we have Dr. Chatterjee, who has been through the functional medicine program, like we're going through, or you've been through, you're nearly there. You've got Jamie Oliver, who is a celebrity chef. And you've also got people like Sir Paul McCartney, who have contributed to the book. And for those in the UK, Hugh Fernley-Whittinstall and Nadia, who won the Great British Bake Off one year. So they're all in there. And, you know, hey, so am I. I'm in here too. And yeah, and the part of the book brief was to come up with a story for your recipe. And having looked at the books, I've got an advanced special edition, or I've got several. I obviously was working in isolation on that book brief, and I took to write a story about the recipe, literally. But others don't seem to have done that. They've done it in a different way. So, but the first part of the creativity came with the photograph, which I took myself of the food.
Goodness.
And this is what I mean about, you know, being creative in different ways. And I thought, my goodness, you know, I'm being creative in that way as well. Yeah. So, but my recipe is the Squeaky Unicorn Pink Rainbow Chili. And I put I put a shout out to all my friends actually and family on Facebook and said, look, you know, what do your children and grandchildren in terms of vegetables want to see in their chili? So they told me, and I put that together, incorporated as much as I could into the recipe, and came up with the story. Do you want to hear the story?
I would love to hear the story.
Okay, so have you heard of Jackanory? No? So Jackanory is I think it's still going on CBeebies, but certainly when I was young, it was a TV show for children, and every day you'd have an adult reading a story. Always wanted to be on Jackanory.
Now's your time.
And so this is how it went. So this is how it goes. So it's, hello, my name's Helen. Are you sitting comfortably? I'm going to tell you the story of the Squeaky Unicorn Pink Wee Rainbow Chili.
Please do.
Once upon a time, children around the world were asked what they wanted to see in their rainbow chili. Squeaky beans, they shouted, beetroot, so that we can have pink wee. Horns, carrots, that have been delivered by the magic unicorn. Red jewels like ruby princess rings, pomegranate seeds. And oak trees, broccoli, so that I can be the giant eating the trees. Excellent, said Helen, the nutritional fairy godmother. You have all chosen well, and your wishes will be granted. Helen said to the children that if you eat your Squeaky Unicorn Pink Wee Rainbow Chili, you will grow up to have superpowers, like strong bones to do handstands and cartwheels, fast fingers to play musical instruments, and very powerful legs to run really fast. What a very healthy bunch of children you will be.
Oh
The
my
end.
goodness. That is so brilliant. You've totally, my goodness, I want to get that book for my kids. I mean, I have 8 to 15, and that is wonderful because you've made them really invest on why they want to eat that good food.
Yeah, well, this is it. So I try to, so for me, you know, I think we live in a society where we have to address the tail that's wagging the dog, because that's what's happening today. So therefore, to appeal to the tail, then hopefully, you know, you're going to get more children on board and want to be involved, eating, you know, more healthy food, basically. And from that, once I'd done that, talking about, you know, creativity and in the flow, and I'm probably kind of going off piste here, but once I'd done that, I was in the zone and I was flowing, and I thought, oh my God, so now I'm starting to write other children's stories, which is not, I've got to say, nothing like that one. They are so different, with many different characters, but all come from, you know, my training from functional medicine, and they're going to be fun. And yeah, hopefully, you know, children will like them, and it will encourage them to eat more healthily.
That's amazing. So this one little nitis like ignited this other creative flow.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
totally. Yeah.
So
I just one idea after another was coming. I just had to get out the notebook and write all these different stories down. And God, it must have gone on for about 2 hours, and that was it. And I just brain dumped
that's wonderful.
everything. Yeah.
That is wonderful. And you touched on the idea that, yes, have a notebook handy, because we can only hold 3 to 4 thoughts in our brain. Our frontal cortex cannot hold more than that. So I tell everyone, carry a notebook, because you can have these creative dumps. And if you have nowhere to put it, a vessel to contain it, they're gone,
Yeah.
And so I love that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What did it feel like to be in the flow or in the zone for you?
So when I'm in that flow, when I'm in the zone, I'm in control. And even though I'm in control, the task is leading me, if that makes sense.
Yes.
You don't have to think about it. And I just feel peaceful. I feel tranquil, and it's just great. And the more that you're in the flow, the more you create.
Yes.
Yes. And yeah, it just doesn't stop. And I've got to say that this weekend, because I've spent the weekend on my own after having a action-packed 5 weeks with my family, I've had this weekend to myself, where I've read. I've been just totally chilling, and it meant that over this weekend I've had so many creative thoughts, for my business, because I've allowed myself that space, that peace. And I've been reading books, and I've got to say that there are several books that have influenced me. Ikigai.
Ooh, wonderful.
Brilliant. But
yes.
And I was listening to this whilst I was making my bolognese yesterday, so I have it on audio as well. And of course, whilst I was listening to it, because I've got a couple of projects that are coming up, I was adding more to it, having listened to this. And that was just ridiculous, because my mind was going off like a machine gun, to the point where, despite me putting on my meditation last night, I just couldn't get to sleep, because all these thoughts were just, being, triggered. So, but yeah, so that was a good book for me this weekend. But what has influenced me to kind of get in the flow and become this creative in the last 10 months, I have to say, is by practicing law of attraction. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, this book, Ask and It Is Given, has been really influential.
Oh, excellent. I'm going to put these in the show notes. That looks great.
Yeah. I mean, that's been a brilliant book. And that has taught me to be the creator of my own reality. And now, whereas I wasn't a natural creator, I have now become that deliberate creator of my own reality. And through that and the Ikigai book, that introduced me to the Pomodoro Technique. And the Pomodoro Technique, if for those that haven't heard of that, I don't know if you heard of the Pomodoro Technique.
No.
Okay, so it's a technique whereby it improves your time management, so that you are deliberate about what you're doing. So it makes you focus on one task at a time, because in today's world we are so distracted, and I am so guilty of that. So I might have my iMac open, and I've got some message coming in either on WhatsApp or Messenger, right, or an email pinging in. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. And then I go, what's that? But with the Pomodoro technique, and this has been a proven technique, and I recommend everyone to look into this. And I've got the illustrated book, and then the new book by its author has just been released, and I've downloaded an app. And what that suggests is that, and they've scientifically researched this, is that you work for 25 minutes. So you put the timer on for 25 minutes, and you work solely on that task that you've set out to work on, no distractions. And at the end of 25 minutes, you take a 5-minute break, whether that be a cup of tea, whether you want to do some breathing exercises. You don't focus on what you've just done. You just totally chill out. So, and you, at the beginning of the day, you make a list of what you want to do, and you look at that list and you prioritize it, and you kind of identify how many Pomodori you need per task. So, and if you've got the app, you can keep track of
Wonderful.
how many you've done and whether you've completed that task. But I've got to say, it absolutely makes you focus on the task in hand, no distractions. And I believe, for me personally, when I'm in that creative zone, not being distracted, and for those that feel that they can't get into that creative zone, perhaps the Pomodoro technique, where they deliberately create that first 25 minutes just to close their eyes, be at peace, think about what it is they want to do, and just start there. Because, as you know, it's about forming habits, isn't it?
Yes.
And it takes about, somewhere it's documented, it's between 32 and 35 days to form a new habit. Right. So and that's what, for me, I've been doing for the last 10 months. So my habits to enable me to be more creative is I wake up in the morning, I have my gratitude journal, which I complete. The other half you complete before you go to bed. I then very recently have started doing my what's called a dream day journal.
Ooh.
And that is from this book, Welcome to the Beginning of Everything You Want.
Oh, you've got great book recommendations.
By Sarah Morgan. And in there, after each chapter, it's a very easy read. It's a new book, and she's a coach. She teaches you how to manifest, basically. And at the end of each day, you've got space in there to write what your dream day would be. So then I turn on Kiss FM, which is a pop radio station, and I bounce my way through the morning, as I get ready. Whereas prior to that, I used to listen to the news, and I was so dragged down by all its negativity. I'd listen to it in the morning, I'd listen to it before I go to bed in the evening. But now, I've formed these new habits, and I've got to say, it's probably the happiest I've been in my life for many, many years. And I just so full of energy.
Thank you so much for sharing. These are such great ideas, and you have really captivated the whole reason behind what we do in Right Brain Rescue, because creativity is actually a brain activation pattern, and you can amplify it with some practice and a little bit of effort. And that's what you're doing. You're doing all the essential things that we teach in Right Brain Rescue, which is creating space and routine and really diving in and letting your body have those creative moments that come about naturally. And the more you encourage that, the more it happens. And you just keep manifesting that, because it's this watershed process. It's neuroplasticity, right? When you exercise those same grooves of gloom and doom, depression, news, and this is what I'm doing for work, you're going to feel that way. But when you just change your pitch a little bit and start practicing those creative moments and making space for it, and intention and grounding and all this stuff, it's like your brain is a playground, and it just gives you all of that wonderful ideas that you can use. I love that.
Totally.
Check out those books. I'll put those, for those listening, I'll have them in the show notes. So that's fantastic. Have you ever used this to, we all have mental blocks or times when maybe those creative juices aren't flowing. And the Pomodoro technique sounds very similar to what we talk about in Right Brain Rescue, that our brain goes through cycles, and it's just inherent. And we need to have that break every so often, because that allows your prefrontal cortex to take a rest, and then your default network comes alive. And that's where a lot of ideas can come from that seem like they're coming out of nowhere, but they've been sitting there for a long time. So that Pomodoro technique sounds amazing. Now, when you have a mental block, do you have anything that you do when you're like, I need to step away, or I go do something? What's your technique?
I just walk away. So if I'm sitting there and there is no point fighting it, and there's obviously some kind of resistance involved. So I just kind of walk away, make myself a cup of green tea. I may do a meditation. That could be up to half an hour. And then perhaps after that meditation, something has come to me. If it doesn't, then I don't beat myself up. I think that's key. You just have to go with the flow. And maybe it's the next day that something will come to me, but certainly walk away, do something positive, something that makes your heart sing, something that's joyous, and you know, it will come to you. It will come to you.
And I love what you do about, you set your day with intention. You start dancing and bopping around to music. That is so crucial. We forgot how to play as adults. And part of this whole mission of mine is just reminding people that we can still play as adults. And my husband likes to watch Saturday Night Live skits in the morning as he's brushing his teeth, because he likes to start his day with a laugh. And it's brilliant. You know, you want to start your day in the best way possible. And sometimes the news is not the best way. I think going on a news diet every so often is healthy, an elimination diet.
Exactly. And that's what I was going to say. You know, that is eliminate those things that are negative in your life and that are dragging you down. So it's not just about your food. It's about, you know, eliminating certain things from your environment as well.
Yes. And it's also not about ignoring. It's not that we're ignoring and we're in a bubble. I think it was Gandhi that even said, he was questioned by somebody, how can you take a nap when there's a war going on? And he responded, well, what use am I to anybody if I'm tired? You know, and
absolutely.
And that's exactly it. You have to take care of yourself so that when you show up, you're ready to go, you know?
I totally agree. And that's what I say to people. At the end of the day, it's like being on an aeroplane, isn't it? If you don't put your own oxygen mask on first, then how are you going to help everybody else? So, totally agree.
Helen, this was a wonderful, wonderful interview. I could talk to you for hours and gab over tea and coffee. I wish we didn't live so far away.
I know. Maybe I'll come out to visit you one day. That would be brilliant.
Right. Or vice versa.
Absolutely. Always welcome. Lots of space here. Yeah, definitely.
Wonderful. Okay, so tell me the website. If our listeners want to get a hold of you, what is the website they can reach you at?
So it's the Hygeia Clinic, Hygeia, the hygeiaclinic.co.uk. And like I said, that is being tweaked at the moment. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we should be ready for the soft launch. So,
that's exciting. And I can't wait. When is your book coming out too?
Do you know? I don't know, because these are advanced special editions. So I'm not sure when it is available to the public. I have asked the powers that be. But they haven't got back to me yet. So but I have got 5 or 6 to give away in competitions. So watch the social media for that, and see if you can win one.
I'll definitely be doing that. That's great. And your children's stories sound fantastic. You are just like a creative machine now. This is great.
And I never was 10 months ago. So there you go.
Well, thank you, Helen, for everything. Your story is definitely going to resonate with our listeners and our viewers. As everyone tries to excavate their own flow recipe, you can prescribe creativity to yourself. And I can help you if you come to www.rightbrainrescue.com. This is where I have a self-paced guided method that will nourish that neuroplasticity, the brain activation pattern, and helps you set the intention for creativity. I help burned out physicians, nurses, and other health professionals grow the creative right brain so you can thrive and contribute more with ease in a toxic system. Please find me and Helen on Facebook, connect with us on Instagram, LinkedIn, and if you're ready to dive deeper, please get your admitting orders at rightbrainrescue.com. Until then, have a creative day.